This is a portion of a film about the speech improvement camp Shady Trails operated by the University of Michigan. The film was made in 1952 by the Michigan Television Department. This first scene shows the founder and director of the camp, John Clancy, serving some food to a few of the campers. I am the taller boy on the left, feeding his face. My name is Charles Sims, and I attended Shady Trails from 1947 to 1952. As you will see, I was given a major role in this documentary. I acquired a VHS version of this material in the 1980s. By that time, the soundtrack had been lost. This narration is being added in 2013. Although the stated goal of the camp was speech improvement, athletics played a major part in the camp's program. We weren't just supposed to get exercise. We were expected to learn specific skills in a wide variety of sports. This included basketball and swimming. I received my swimming life-saving badge while at camp. When we were in the water, we always had a buddy, and we were expected to stay close to our buddy. Even in our leisure time, we were encouraged to be active. Here are some of the younger campers playing horseshoes. How they managed to find two left-handed ping pong players, I'm not quite sure. Volleyball was an important activity for older campers. We played a lot of softball, but this scene of me hitting a home run is completely fake. I was pitched to until I got a good hit, and the boys in the outfield didn't hurry getting the ball back to the infield. My rounding third base was done with 2 takes. We had speech instruction twice a day. The format varied. Sometimes we had individual lessons, and sometimes we had group classes. Most of the campers stuttered, but for some of the boys, their speech problems were due to hearing loss, cleft palate, or cerebral palsy. We did use a tape recorder at times, but nowhere near as much as is suggested in this documentary. Here is a group class, or at least a group of us pretending to be having a class for the benefit of the camera. One of the senior speech therapists was Mr. Munson. Here, Mr. Munson and I are having an extended conversation. I don't know if the soundtrack on the original program contained our voices. Those of you who learned lip reading may be able to make out something of what we are saying. An important component of the instruction was relaxation. We should be able consciously to relax any part of our body. Here, as Mr. Munson moved my arm, he was not supposed to feel any muscle action on my part. For speaking, we particularly needed to be able to relax the jaw and throat muscles. One of the traditions of Shady Trails was the round robin, which called for each camper to give a short oral presentation to the entire camp each week. Here I am supposed to be preparing for a round robin talk. A lot of what you see was done only to impress the film audience. The subject of my talk was some computation with a slide rule. However, on the board behind me is a complicated integral formula. This has nothing to do with my slide rule talk. We got the formula out of a book and wrote it on the board for a lark. The therapist who makes some suggestions about the way I am presenting my talk is Dorothy Spencer, another of the senior staff. Now we see my actual presentation in the dining room. Everyone is trying hard not to acknowledge the presence of the camera. There were multiple takes that required repositioning the camera. Although the calculus formula on the board was a joke, it was more relevant than we realized at the time. I had a strong interest in math, and 11 years later I got a PhD in the subject. The instruction I got at Shady Trails really helped me in my teaching of calculus and other parts of mathematics to thousands of students over a 45-year career as a university professor. Another tradition at Shady Trails was the Miffler. Mifflers were original reviews written largely by the staff but performed by the campers. Here is a Miffler. I may be mistaken, but the dance moves look a lot like the Hokey Pokey. The words were almost certainly changed to fit the theme of the show. In the summer of 1952, the major parties nominated Dwight Eisenhower and Adlai Stevenson to run for president. This Miffler documents the convention of the Shadycrat Party. In a surprise move, the Shadycrats nominate the janitor for president. After the excitement of the Miffler, we regain our calm with some more instruction from Mr. Munson. Now both of us are using the tape recorder. I don't know what the TV audience heard in 1952, but I'm going to take the opportunity to say a bit more about athletics. I've already mentioned basketball, swimming, horseshoes, ping pong, volleyball, and softball. I also learned to play tennis and badminton at Shady Trails. Although not as physically demanding as some of the other sports, I got pretty good at checkers and chess, too. Now in the background, you can see me getting instruction in various aspects of track and field. Here is the start of a sprint. Now I'm setting up for the high jump. They set the bar low, so I was sure to clear it. In the distance, I am running with some of the other campers. Here I am attempting to put the shot. I don't think my form is particularly good. This event is now called the long jump, but we knew it as the broad jump. The last scene in this excerpt shows me having a conversation with one of the counselors, presumably about softball. That's all, folks.